again, this is Kent Sovereign, State Director of AARP in Iowa. And with me again today is Deanna Clingan-Fischer, who's the State Long-Term Care Ombudsman with the Iowa Department on Aging. And during our first conversation, Deanna, we talked a little bit about your roles and responsibilities and the difference between your advocacy work and the enforcement work of other agencies. And this time we'd like to talk a little bit more about how people engage the long-term care ombudsman, what kind of facilities you advocate for the residents for. So many different kinds of facilities. You mentioned them last time, housing seniors. How does your office manage to cover so many different kinds of facilities and with the geography of basically every county in Iowa that has to be covered?
Yes, and it's a very good question, and one that we ask ourselves daily. Actually, we have currently 8 local long-term care ombudsmen around the state who have a specific region that they cover. The primary focus is to respond to complaints and issues that come to our office in a complaint format. So that's our #1 priority. We get to those in as quick a fashion as possible. If one local ombudsman is gone or involved in another situation, we do have the ability to bring in a different local ombudsman. So I guess my instant response would be we focus on the complaints and we triage within those complaints, what seems to be most pressing. What that doesn't allow us a lot of time to do is just basic monitoring and visits to facilities. So we're really excited about a new opportunity that's coming forward to utilize volunteers to help in that process.
Well, again, you said managed care facilities, long-term care facilities?
Long-term care facilities.
Long-term care facilities, so that'd be nursing homes?
Nursing homes and residential care facilities.
And then assisted living?
And assisted living programs.
Okay, so those are, if we were to add up all of those in the state, how many, do you have a guess about how many there would be?
There are, yes. There's a little over 53,000 beds within all of those facilities.
Beds.
There are 844 facilities.
Wow.
And 53,287 beds.
So with only 8 staff covering that, you do have a need for volunteers. And as you mentioned in our first clip, anybody with concern about the health, welfare, well-being of a resident can contact your office. So, I've heard about something called resident councils in some of the facilities. What are those all about?
A resident council is an opportunity for the residents themselves to come together in a situation where they can discuss concerns, problems, just have a support group to talk to each other, because they are the only ones that are in that unique situation within that facility. And so we encourage resident councils to form from the aspect that we do feel it really allows the residents to self-empower them to become their own advocates and gives them a support network in which they can reach out for strength.
So they're less the squeaky wheel,
exactly.
if you will.
So
is there any requirement that an institution have this residents council?
There are requirements that if a group of residents would like to form a council, a facility does need to allow that to occur.
So I'm guessing that from your point of view, you want to encourage that or raise awareness of that among the residents so that those that might be motivated to organize a council could do so.
Exactly.
And you mentioned that there might be some volunteer opportunities to help out those 8 folks that that are roaming around the state with
exactly. Well, I was in a unique position. We have had for years volunteers called Resident Advocate Committees, or RAC. And before that, they were called Care Review Committees.
Care Review, and then they're called Resident
Advocate
Committees, RACs.
And so we have for years had these volunteers who are doing yeoman's work going into the facilities and serving as the eyes and ears for residents. They've been doing that for years. Then a few years ago, our funding was lost for that program. And so the department and the Office of Long-Term Care Ombudsman really stopped being involved in the resident advocate process. So those volunteers who were still there could continue volunteering, and in some cases facilities would find volunteers to help meet the need.
Mhm.
And what we're excited about now is that back in July 1st of 2012, the legislature appropriated some funding to the Office of Long-Term Care Ombudsman and the Department on Aging to create a certified volunteer program.
Oh,
And so we are now in the process of recruiting volunteers to serve in this new capacity. And the goal would be to have volunteers that would help us serve in that monitoring role. Not so much following up on complaints, because that would still be the role of the local ombudsman, but to really go in on a more regular basis to be the eyes and the ears for those for the residents, and bring those issues that they see to our attention.
well, you mentioned certified, so does that mean that they get trained some? And
Correct.
the department has the assets to train folks?
We were given some funding from the legislature to certify those volunteers, and what that means is they will go through a background check process. So we're checking to make sure that we are not placing individuals in a facility that should not be there in the first place.
Yeah, I understand that, yeah.
And so we're doing the background checks, and then as part of the agreement to be a certified volunteer, they need to attend several hours of training up front, and then go into the facility with one of our local ombudsmen to meet with the administrator and talk with the residents, just, to feel like they're a part of that facility. And then continuing education will be required as well.
So is this something that the industry, these care administrators, do they welcome these volunteers? Do they? I mean, is it a? It seems to me as an advocacy kind of thing, it could be very helpful, but there might be some contentiousness there too. I imagine people are all over the board on it.
Right, and while I can't speak for nursing home administrators, I believe, the contacts that I've had from administrators have been very positive.
Oh, great, great.
Most are very interested in working with our office to ensure that their residents receive quality of care as well.
So if there's any of our volunteers, our AARP volunteers, or just anyone, any Iowan who'd like to
volunteer.
Engage your department or engage your office in this volunteer effort, how might they contact you?
We would be glad to, and we welcome all volunteers
Yeah,
to
of course,
apply
yes.
for this new program. They would contact our office by calling 1-866-236-1430.
And of course, there's the online presence for the Iowa Department on Aging as well. Just put that in your search engine, and you'll get to there, and you can probably get to Deanna's office as well. Again, this is Kent Sovereign, State Director of AARP Iowa, thanking you for watching, and thanking Deanna Clingan-Fischer, who is the state's long-term care ombudsman in the Iowa Department of Aging, for being here with us today. And look forward to more conversations with Deanna about the role of the office and about how you can become engaged in the lives of Iowa seniors in these very important volunteer aspects. Thank you for watching.